Welcome everybody to episode 3 of the Cobra Cast. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Lee Robson. How you doing, my friend?
Seamus, my brother. It's been a long time, my
Good
man.
to see you, my man.
Good
We've
to
got
see you,
Jack
my man.
Dugdale also
Jack,
in the
my
building
brother.
here today.
Right.
The British champ, WBKB British champ. Lee, you've come from the northeast today, my friend,
my brother.
to come and chew the fat, my mate.
Chew it.
So this is a very special episode. They're all special episodes, but this one today is a special one.
Right.
We were just saying, weren't we, before we come on here, this is the first time we've actually met.
Very first time, brother. It's been long overdue. Like, it's what, 3-4 years?
Yeah,
Has to be
3-4 years, but it never came to my attention until Jack mentioned it, and I thought, I think we might have been in the same building maybe once or
Did
twice.
Fighter and the Geek. We did, 4 or 5 episodes of that.
So I feel like I've known you forever,
100%.
mate.
It's just water off a duck's back coming here.
But I really appreciate you coming down today, mate. It
it's
means
a
the world,
pleasure and
mate.
an honour to be in your presence, my brother.
Good man. So we'll start off, mate, at the beginning with you. Where are you from, my mate? Where did it all start? How did you get into the media side of things?
Well, it's a bit of a... Right. So
Expansive question there, isn't it, mate, to start?
I'm from Ashington. It's a little mining town in Northumberland. Very well famous and well known for Jackie Milburn, the Charlton brothers, for football.
Yeah.
So, and we've got a good boxing town, to be brutally honest. A lot of what boxers, amateur boxers, have boxed for Britain, England, and that. Do you know what I mean? So it's a hardened town. It's a seaside town. So it's real rural.
It's where the best fighters come from, innit?
Well, it is, because it's just something that you can't implement on a guy who's maybe from the city and had it easy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very hardship. It's poverty-ridden. Do you know what I mean? There's not many very opportunities, so people either have that out through football or through boxing or through combat sports. The actual combat sports scene has actually become a little bit more popular than the boxing at the minute. We've got a couple of good boxing gyms, but yeah, there's no solidified boxing gyms in our area. The next best ones you've probably got is New Bigham Boxing Club and Blythe Empire School of Boxing, which is Cameron Vuong's schooling. Do you know what I mean?
How far are you from Joe Law's and where he's situated?
We're about 15 to 18 miles. I was actually in the Metro Centre with my lass looking for clothes for holiday, right? And bumped into Joe.
Yeah,
and
character.
A very
shout out to Joe Laws, by the way, and his
mate.
father as well.
Yes.
Two proper gentlemen, and proper boxing men, believe me.
But he's looking big and he's looking strong, and he was feeling strong. And do you know what? He looked good. He looked good.
And do you know what? A massive shout out to me. Put McKenna on his arse, didn't he? And I mean, the fight before that, I think people were writing him off against Hennessy Jr.
Yeah.
And he produced the goods, mate. And I was absolutely over the moon. You see, if you look at Joe, when you see him on social media and stuff like that, it can be easy to misconstrue him as a bit cocksure and a bit cocky. But when you actually meet him and his father, mint people.
Hard-working.
Mint people.
Down salt of the earth people.
They are, aren't they, mate? They are. But there's something about you northeast fellas, isn't there? Very jovial and you characters.
The true characters don't beat around the bush. We'll tell it how it is. And look, you've got to get on with it. Look, you don't like what everybody has to say, but you've got to tell the truth. Yeah. You can't beat around the bush and just go by these things. If they didn't like it, that's not your problem, that's theirs.
Shoot straight from the hip, my friend. Straight from the hip, my brother. So, how did you get into the media side of things? How did the Bad Blood podcast, how was that born? The origins.
I was working for a couple of magazines back in the day. I was on a very popular website, Boxing Scene, and on the forums on that, it just become building contacts. And then I was in the history section one day, and lo and behold, it was a guy from the LA. He had a sports correspondence section in the LA Times or Journal or something like that.
Right.
And we got speaking through when Muhammad Ali died. He messages. He was like, "Right, it's really bad this time." And I was like, "What? Real bad?" And he was like, "It's going to end." And I was like, "Oh dear." And that's what got us in. I started helping a little bit with him, and then it just progressed to stylesmakefights.com or .net, Boxing Mad magazine. I was working for a local magazine called Peep Magazine, and they wouldn't do an article. What I had done an interview with a guy, which I found a little bit odd. I'm not slating the guy, but I found it a little bit odd because I had my own column. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had done plenty of interviews with loads of boxers before that, but he sort of died off from that scene. So it was Jamie Boyle.
Jamie Boyle?
So me and Jamie were talking behind the scenes, and I was going to get him in the magazine, and I got sick of waiting. So I thought, well, right, I'll do this by myself. Jamie, should we do a podcast instead? He was like, good idea. And I was like, because we can put that on multiple platforms. It was during the lockdown, so we knew we'd get a lot of views.
2021, around
100%. So he was like, what are you going to name it? I was like, I was like, Bad Blood Podcast. And he was like, right, let's get it done. And it just grew from that. From that interview, I'd done Brian Cockrell. And then it was that good of an interview with Brian. He invited me to a house.
Bri.
And then we did Paul Venice, we did Paddy Maloney, and we did Brian all on the same day.
Big shout out to Paddy Maloney as
100%.
well, the altar boy.
The altar boy.
Read that book. I've not read many books at modern day. Peter Buckley, King of the Journeyman, and that one. They're the two books I've read, and ripping the yarn, to say the least. So yeah, the altar boy. Shout out to Paddy Maloney. So,
Southbank Boy is really good as well. Paul Venice's, like, it really is a good book as well.
I've not read that. I'm not familiar with that.
Get it read.
Was that done by Jamie Boyle?
It was done by Jamie. It was a fantastic book. He's got a section then about Shane Taylor, I believe, and
well, it's
what a guy.
Yeah, I've had some correspondence with Shane Taylor.
Some character. Very, very reformed.
Do you know
character.
something, mate? It was powerful to watch. I had a lump in my throat watching his podcast on the show, and that would, I think, if you didn't watch that and at least have some flicker of emotion, you're not human.
100%.
That was powerful, mate.
Very
really,
powerful.
really
got a very powerful message.
So yeah, I didn't know that. See, I've just learned something. You learn something new every day. I didn't know you and Jamie Boyle were. I was supposed to do something with him recently, but we've not corresponded since. Life gets in the way, doesn't it? But,
it does. Me and Jamie were, look, we just touched upon before, shooting from the hip. Let's tell this truth.
Yeah.
Me and Jamie were always in correspondence with each other, like all the time. We're quite close. He did give with the foot up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With himself, he offered me his time. I will always be forever grateful for that.
Good man.
Brian, and then they fell out.
Yeah,
but
it's got pretty bad, hasn't it? That
did,
we'll not elaborate on that one. We'll leave
but
that.
It got bad, and I was sort of friends with Brian. I still am.
It's hard that
it's very hard.
What I like to call the it's like that obligatory, that inherited beef where you have to make a decision here. And like I said I won't elaborate, but I mean, I would share things from Jamie Boyle, and then certain people might get upset about that, and next thing you know, your phone's ringing or someone's messaging saying, he don't like him or he don't like what he said, and it's like, mate, leave me out. I'm my own man, and I'll make my own decisions,
it's
mate.
100%. And obviously, I was working for Spartan. I'm still working for Spartan. I was working with the Gary Furby, the governor.
Yeah, the governor.
Governor Gary Furby, and Gary and Jamie had a falling out, and Jamie went to do Decker.
Right.
And that's when it all went.
That's when it all went tits up. So I believe Danny and Gary were close at one point, and I believe they've now.
Everybody's disbanding, mate. Do you know what was really sad? Everybody had a common goal, just to make what aware that guy was, like DH. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then somewhere along the line,
everybody just wanted to own clout for themselves, and it got off the target. Do you know what I mean?
Was exposing a certain somebody.
Yes, and it just become all shit. And then they started to argue with each other, and it devalued and just
the focus away from
the real points and the core values. Do you know what I mean?
It's a shame because all North East boys as well, aren't they, from that area as well?
Yeah.
It's a shame.
It was a
mate?
bad fallout, mate. Like even up north, this last 3, 4, 5, 6 months, it's been hairy. Do you know what I mean? It's been very hairy with some of the top families, and you've just got to you've got to let it roll.
Yeah.
You've got to let it happen.
Yeah.
And it's got to map out how it's going to map out.
That's it. I always say this, Lee, the universe will always unfold how it should, my friend. What's meant for you will not go by you.
Yeah.
That's for sure, mate. 110%.
I get that.
So, yeah, what I love about the Bad Blood podcast was that I think that's what drew me to you straight away, because I've even had an offer off Liam Tufts. Massive shout out to Liam Tufts as well to go on his podcast. He hasn't got back to me yet, but I'd love to go on that platform. But
good man.
What I loved about your platform was you give the little man a voice. The guy on his way up that's not already got that clout, doesn't have a big following, and you help kind of build that up.
You did the same for me. Yeah,
you did. You did the same for me and Jack, and it's mint, mate, and I absolutely love it.
I didn't say it as I just like to get their story, because look, if you're not on the network, you've just got to try and help these fighters, try and get maximum exposure, trying to help them sell tickets. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you've just got to try and help the fighters, especially on the lower level. If you can't help the fighters on the lower level and you're going to support the top guys, well, you're more distant from the top guys than you are to these guys.
Exactly,
who's more commentated, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the sort of geezer who treats the janitor the same as he treats the CEO,
100%.
mate, 110%.
Just because you're on a lower show doesn't mean you're a lower person. You're doing the same job.
Yeah.
Respect that guy. He's putting his health on the line. And if you can't respect that from a bottom, mid to top level, What are you? You're
But
not
I
a
could
true
just
fan.
tell though, Lee, but I mean, the first podcast we did, I wasn't even a pro, if you remember.
Yep.
I wasn't a pro at that point, but I remember your attitude towards me always remained the same, no matter what level I was at, and I appreciated that, mate. And I always enjoyed coming. I mean, Fighter and the Geek was absolutely brilliant. I think it had 12,000 views as well.
We did some good numbers on that.
Yeah, we
really
did well,
good
mate.
numbers.
I really enjoyed that, mate. I really enjoyed it. So, what's your future plans, mate, with the media side of things? I know you've been rubbing shoulders with a few different people. I've seen you out there networking, mate, keeping you to the grindstone.
I love going to the shows, but do you know what's heartbreaking, Seamus? It's heartbreaking to me at the minute, because you've got all these big shows happening, and you've got the big stadiums and stuff like that. Why are these promoters not shutting doors at early time, so they're saying the whole event? Because ticket buyers are only going to see this is what I've seen throughout this last year. They're only going to see who they bought the tickets off, and then they're leaving.
And they're true.
And the atmosphere is dead. Now, when you're hiring a 10,000 seater stadium, you need the consistency.
Yeah.
You need the crowd there.
Yeah.
And when the camera's there, and it's on the network, and you're zooming around, and it's just little patchy bits here and there.
Pockets of,
It's time to shut the doors at the closing at a certain time, so everybody's in. That's just what I've seen. I would love to continue that, like going to the big shows, but I would like to get on that small hall circuit again, because that's nothing better. Small hall shows to me is where it's at. It is.
It's funny you mention that. When I was a professional, I was on the big shows, Sky Sports, Box Nation, I boxed on the big shows, and the small hall shows, all the best fights that I can think now, if I search my memory banks, were all on the small hall shows.
100%.
And you know, half of them were the female fights.
Yes, and
it's
they're not getting coverage.
They're not.
Do you know what I mean?
Like, Leanne Bush, shout out to Leanne Bush as well. Don't know if she's still active as a pro. She had an absolute belter against a foreign fighter. I can't remember her name. And one of the best female fights I'd seen on the small. It was absolutely belting. It was a bloody one as well. But
do you know
it's like the women have something to prove.
Sandra Samuel up at WBKB, bare knuckle trade.
It was one of the best fights of the night, that brilliant Jack.
Yeah.
She's actually done really well for herself now, and she's getting people that are putting their attention on her. And,
and the women's game is so wide open.
It's
wide open. We've had a couple of girls in our gym, who are capable. They just need to get that first fight out the way. But if you're a girl and you're willing to do bare knuckle, 1 or 2 wins, and you're looking at like massive title fights.
100%. We say this all the time. We've got very few females at the minute in the gym, but we say this all the time. It is wide open for you ladies. You don't understand. You're 1 win away from changing your life.
100%. It's the same in pro boxing, because look, you don't. This is why you get a jump to the British title. You get a jump to the Commonwealth title. You get a jump 6, 7, 8 fights. You could be fighting for some version of a world title until we start getting more boxers through, and then we can have established English, British, Commonwealth, European. Do you know how the common standard and how it goes through the male?
The natural route of progression.
We can start filling those in, and then we can get a proper grasp of who really is like.
I'm glad you've mentioned this, mate. I'm glad there's some talking points I wanted to go into anyway, but I'm glad you've mentioned this with the titles. What's your opinion on the amount of titles that are out there now? IBO, WBU, IBF, WBA. There's now even WBO Europeans, IBF Europeans. For me, the only recognised European title is the EBU, the blue strap.
100%.
Do you agree with that, my friend?
100%. I've had a conversation with a couple of guys, and like Nathan Russo, big shout out to Nathan Russo.
Oh, massive shout out Russo, quality operator, mate. He was a really good fighter, was Nathan
70
Russo.
odd fights, 60. He only had about 3 losses. Do you know what I mean? On the unlicensing.
It was really good.
Big shout out to Paul Pierce as well, because like talking to them, and that's it's them type of guys where they will. It's going back to the small hall shows and to stuff like that, Seamus. Those type of guys. Paul flew out. It was with Bangladesh, and he won a version of a title. Now, that has put him in line for a WBA title. Do you know what I mean? So for some version, it's for those fighters and opportunities to get a title and be named and have an achievement, because they're not going to get the network coverage and the jump.
Right. So
that's what I feel, and I like it for them. But
so there's pros and cons.
Pros and cons. Look at the British fights that we are missing now, the British classics. Can you remember Fight Night, Friday Fight Night? on
Friday
Sky
Fight on
Sports.
Sky
We
Sports,
don't get that
yeah, we
anymore
don't get it no
because you've
more.
got intercontinentals and continental titles. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Eddie Hearn's got a
yeah.
new market. He's to the
So
Hispanic
it's
market.
overshadowing that.
Overshadowing when you're bringing in these continental titles. I believe with those, you're just missing core British fights like
fights
the old
that
days.
should be happening, yeah.
Yeah, and like Turkey Al Sheikh, he's trying to do, His Excellency, the one belt, one umbrella, like the UFC.
Yeah.
I've always said,
Yeah.
because you are going to get the best, fight the
Find the
best,
best.
and it's never the case of that because you can get an intercontinental title, which will put you in the top 10. For therefore, you've got one more fight, like you say,
Yeah,
and then you're in contention. You're in contention for an eliminator.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
things that I think boxing could learn from MMA.
Yes.
Going back to the women,
100%.
how
Million
for
percent.
years women at these big stars. You know, before obviously I'm terrible with names off the top of my head. What's the girl called who ended up in Star Wars? Funnily enough, you know what I'm talking about. She was in the Mandalorian.
I know exactly who you
Massive
want.
star. What I've caught in my head, but. And then you're going on to obviously Ronda and Misha Tate
Yeah.
and Cyborg and
Amanda
Nunes. Yeah, Amanda Nunes. These have been household names for years and years and years. And I'll be honest, I can't name many British boxers or even international women's boxers. I can't.
See, that's because I think we're missing the good British classic fights. You know, Brit against the Brit, but we're not saying it.
Even when you mentioned Friday Fight Night, my brain started searching. I remember
Jason
like, we're
Too
not
Smooth
seeing
Move.
Too Smooth.
Do you know what I
Move.
mean? It's them type of fighters who
guys.
don't get it,
Nottingham,
man.
I think it was Nottingham based. Was
Yes,
I think if I'm
he's
correct,
just-
there was two of them.
Of course it
There
was.
were
There was
two
a
booths,
brother.
weren't there?
One died.
But
God
we're not
rest his
seeing
soul.
them fights. So anymore, like your Macklin and Moore.
Yes.
And them fight. That's
Do you
what
get what I
those-
mean?
Yeah. There
Con,
was
Willie-
loads of bars.
Willie
John Murray,
Lemon
massive
and
shout
stuff.
out to John Murray. He's
Oh.
actually been to my gym. John Murray did a seminar
Hell
with
of a
me.
guy, hell
What a
of a
guy.
guy.
British. And if it wasn't for Ricky Hatton and he was the only Manchester fight, I think he'd have took the lead
100%.
back then because he was a real fighter. Was John Murray.
His brother Joe as well.
Joe
made
was-
the 2008 Olympic team.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
correct.
I mean, what a team that was, man. James
Special,
DeGale,
mate,
David.
special that
the
was.
best Olympic
crop.
team we've
That
had.
was the best crop.
Without a shadow of a
I
doubt.
agree with you there, mate.
I mean,
agree.
that Beijing Olympics, like Frankie Gavin, my heart went out of him. Couldn't make the weight. But James DeGale, Tony Jeffries,
they
David
come through
Price.
there, they're unbelievable.
They had a great run.
Unbelievable. Like I say, it put a smile on my face. I remember some of the old classics. I remember when my dad was still alive, God rest him, watching those Friday Fight Nights.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, mate.
One of the
Unbelievable.
best amateur fights I've ever seen is Jeff Saunders, Brad Saunders' brother, against Lewis Ritson.
Right.
What I will get that fight and I will pass it over. What a high
do.
quality fight.
I appreciate that. Please
Super
do,
high
man,
quality
mate.
because Jeff is a really good pro. And you know Lewis, do you know what I mean? You
Yeah,
know
the
what
Sandman.
Lewis is. Yeah,
The Sandman, mate.
It was a fantastic bout.
Yeah,
Fantastic
not
bout.
the same as recent years, but I think it can happen to any fighter. I mean, in the
100%.
boxing game, that saying, don't you can age overnight. And we've seen it with so
100%.
many fighters over the years.
Well,
mate.
look what those wars do. Michael Katsidis, all those wars that he was
Katsidis,
in.
him and
Yeah,
Graham Earl, that
Earl,
was something
fucking
else. That was
come
like a
on,
haggle of
man.
hounds of the lightweight
It
division.
was.
weren't
That was
it?
just
It
absolutely crazy
It
stuff.
was crazy. When Katsidis touched down with Lou and Earl Clark, I thought,
yeah.
wow, which way is this going to go? But I used to love his entrance. The gladiator
style.
and that music and the
Yes,
back
you
was
just-
frightening,
Yeah,
mate.
you
It
had
was
those like gladiator
gladiator
shorts as well. You was
tassels on
just
and
like,
it
We were
was
talking about the other
scary.
day the old UFCs. You know when it started with the gladiators,
Yeah.
the music,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
amazing. I had goosebumps, and it's
gone.
It's gone.
It's
It's gone.
missing,
It's now
man.
just like you may as well be tuning in to watch like
Generic.
NFL. It's just like
100%. I get
Exactly.
that.
It
Yeah.
stood out, didn't it,
Yeah,
back
it
then?
did.
The intro
That's
stood
Sphere.
out.
Have you seen the Sphere? That's Sphere.
yeah,
Yeah, something else, that innit?
That's
Something
crazy.
else. But
That
yeah,
is something
MMA is
else.
definitely. I think it's swallowing boxing whole with the numbers, isn't it?
It is, and see, this is where, again, look at the UFC crowd. I believe they could be closing doors, final doors closed 7, 8, so they are always having a huge crowd. It's always sold out, but not just that. Their fights from bottom to top are always
yeah.
stacked and
well matched.
well matched.
know,
And
100%.
Yeah.
I don't know who does the matchmaking for the UFC. I'm not
Sean
sure.
Shelby, or
yeah,
is
and
that
Hunter Campbell.
Hunter Campbell, yeah, depending on the weight
So
class.
they're-
Yeah.
you guys know more than me on
they've
that.
just
So yeah, they do a
got
good
that
job
shit
though.
down to the team,
Yeah,
man.
they do a good
That
job.
warboard that they have in that office is something else, man. Like,
Yeah.
you can just chop and change and make fucking fights all day in that
Like
warboard.
you say, the best fighting the best, one title in each
Yeah,
division. It's
that's-
a recipe for success, isn't it?
It is.
And in
and
boxing, there's a lot of matchmakers in boxing. boxing. I know a few of them well, and they've just come into the game. They're new to boxing. I'm not saying anything disrespectful about them. I'm not mentioning names. I think boxing's not their forte, not their specialty. They've come into it.
Yeah,
and
it's
sort
like
of
some of the coaches now these days, Seamus, like a lot of pad men. Some of the knowledge is just used to. You can dish the knowledge out, and what's the point of going on the pads if you don't know what to do? Like when I've seen you do the pads, you're telling your fight, go this route, come that route. You're not actually showing them and giving them knowledge.
I think when we're doing pads, or when Seamus, I've learned from Seamus, we're trying to make it realistic, throwing realistic shots, whereas all this fancy,
it doesn't work.
You're never going to do that in a fight.
I'd love to see someone show me them.
Show me one example of that.
Fast fiber twitch muscles, that's all it's good for. That is all it's good for. The fast fiber.
The defensive sequence or whatever it is that you're going
getting
for.
That
so
twitchy feeling, nice
it has
and
got
sharp.
some method to it.
But it doesn't happen in a fight.
You see Mayweather, he's not even looking at the pads. It's
crazy.
Aesthetically
it looks good. It looks good.
He's very aesthetic when it comes out of them pads and the skipping rope. Skipping rope routine is off the map. It's crazy.
Lee, one thing I wanted to ask you, which I've never known, what's kind of your boxing background? How old were you when you started training and stuff? What sort of stuff have you done?
Just stemmed from getting bullied. Me and my mate went to the gym and we only did 2 classes, and then I was like, I don't know if this is for me. Had a couple of years off, tried to join the army, went through training. But my stepdad was very good friends with Scott Dan. Now, Scott Dan was a former British and Commonwealth champion. He got beat off Howard Eastman in a title eliminator fight Bernard Hopkins. Right. Now, it was on BBC Sport many moons ago. And when I was in training for the army, my dad would send us pictures, like the fight posters, and Scott would sign them. And then it just started with going to Scott's gym for a few times, and then got the bug. I was at his house. And the belt's underneath the bed. I was like, the belt's underneath the bed. He just brings down the Lonsdale belt, doesn't he? Just whacks open it.
One of the most beautiful belts in the history. And not just boxing for me, in the history of combat sports.
That and the Diamond Gazelle
belt.
That
Police Gazelle, how smart is that?
I agree. 2 absolutely outstanding belts. My favourite is still the Lonsdale.
Yeah.
Something about
just
that belt.
Looking at it was just like, and then I just got the bug, and then I sparred more than I thought. I've had real nervous anxiety with crowds, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Massive anxiety. Won a couple of fights, like fought at Berkeley. Do you know what I mean? Like Berkeley's a well-renowned club. I stopped the kid in the second round. Just the crowd got the better of us, and I just stopped, and I thought to myself, I got a little bit. I need to give something here. And then my friends were like, you're mad for stopping. Have you seen the knowledge you can possess? And then it just started without helping people on the pads, and then just grew from there. And then started.
Yeah, you've always stayed around the sport.
Stopped around the sport, and then that's why I know Seamus. The lower, the mid,
and the top tier.
These are all the same.
Yeah.
These are all the same. And I just stemmed from there and just boomed from there and progressed. Coached a couple of champions.
Is that where, sorry for interrupting, is that where you met Matty?
Me and Matty, believe it or not, he reminded me of this. Matty, me and my friend were doing pads, and it was a hot summer day, and it was just in the backyard. And he came, he was only 13 at the time, with my friend's brother.
Right.
And he's like, I need to learn on my straight shots, because obviously he's a tall man, and he was crouching, and he bent
himself to their level. Yeah.
And was just upright, use your height, nice long shots, and get them onto the end of the reach, come back. And he was like, you did that for us, and you've sorted me like long shots. He says, I actually won my next fight. He says, by keeping it long. He says, because I was fighting short range.
Stepping into their optimum range, We're always working on range management, aren't we, and stuff like that.
It's good to get in close range sometimes, but you
don't
have
depends
to do
on the opponent, doesn't it? And they're how long they are. And
100%.
It's like if I'm sparring him, I want to be chest to chest with him. There's no point me being out here getting my head job.
You're not going to outbox him.
But someone who's maybe shorter and stocky than me, I'll work on the outside. So
that's what the sparring's for. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't always have to be a war fight.
I always say to my clients, when you're sparring, it's a physical conversation. You're asking questions, like I'm speaking to you now, and I'm not shouting. You're not shouting. If you throw a bomb in sparring, it's the equivalent of shouting in a
100%.
conversation.
Yeah, you're just
having a
working
physical
drills.
conversation, ask questions, who can answer those questions the better. No
1,000,000%.
malicious intent
Yeah.
ever behind the sparring. There's a lot of research on this. If you look at the top MMA fighters now and boxers, none of them are sparring in camp.
Well, see,
They're
who's
touch
that?
sparring.
Yeah.
They're playing because your brain is more receptive. You can anticipate better when you're relaxed.
Is
If
it
you're
the
stressed, you
the
become a little bit
Cubans
more
touch
responsive
spar?
and not reactive to what's coming at you. So I always teach my clients this to say, if you're sparring now in this gym, take it down, taper it right down,
Yeah.
relax, have a bit of fun with it. You'll develop, you'll see things coming a little bit easier.
Yeah. So you're not
Otherwise,
forcing things.
Yeah, because you worry, if they're worried about getting hit, they're going to start doing this.
Yeah, tensing up.
And then that's an invitation for the person to then come
Without
in and
a
breach
doubt.
the dead space and
And
come
it
in
breeds
and
a
attack.
bad mentality going in there, and that's how you get sparring syndrome. This is
Exactly,
how you
mate.
just becoming in sparring mode, and then you get into that fight, and you can't get out of first gear. You can't get out a
Exactly.
second because
Yeah.
you're too used to doing
Yeah.
that in the sparring. Do you
It's
know
a
what I
good
mean?
point, minute. Like I had a spar not so long ago, and I think for about 5-6 rounds I was asleep. I was in journeyman mode. You know, and I had to tell
yeah.
myself, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Just let
Yeah.
the kids off on you because you get into those habits.
Yeah, you do, you
'Cause
do.
You just think you need to just
It's a
stop letting your
mindset,
hands go. And
do you
have
know what
two
I mean?
decent rounds at the end, but you've just got to.
You've got to kick
conscious
yourself.
effort. You got to.
You have to. You
Yeah,
have
because you
to.
can
But
slip into it. You're used to doing it week in, week
Easy.
out, and surviving, tucking, holding, spoiling.
Yeah.
You can slip into that as soon as you're under that
It's
pressure. And someone's a
easy
bit quicker than you.
Yeah, 100% because you're in a comfortable space.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So,
Exactly.
and everybody loves a comfortable environment.
Surely the whole point of sparring is to be free to try things.
1,000,000%.
Whereas if I'm opposite someone who's trying to take my head off,
What are you
I'm not gonna try anything new because it's too risky.
Yeah,
exactly.
I tell you that
Exactly.
you'll I mean probably through my own like sort of not just ego but I'll show you I've got balls. But I used to love it. I used to get in and just bang with anybody who were way better and more experienced. And then one time. I was driving down an area called Brunchy, which is literally where I grew up. And I just got to the end of the road. I told you I'd been sparring that day, and I'm like, where the fuck am I? I'm completely, I do not know where I am. Where do I go left? Do I go right? And I'm like, right, this isn't right. Taking that head trauma, and since then I've tried to make it much more technical, and
You're
I've
learning
improved
from your-
because,
You learn
do.
more from your mistakes. Like me, and this is a good. It's evidentiary support, not boxers that are way better and achieve way more than I did for whatever reason because the infrastructure of boxing. But some of them are just better than me. But they don't always make good coaches.
100%.
They don't always
That's
make
the
good
thing.
coaches.
Yeah.
Because if you've had it all your own way, and you've been taught the offense and all the tricks in the book, but where's the pitfalls? So then when the pitfalls come and they step on that landmine, the coach doesn't have a clue what to do here because he never
100%.
stepped on them
He's
mines himself.
never done it
You
before.
learn more from your mistakes than
Yes,
you
you
do
do.
from just having it all your own way.
That's the thing, because again, it breeds contempt and it breeds comfort. And
Yeah.
in this game, you want to put yourself in the most uncomfortable position.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you've always got to be a warm spawn, but you've got to make the training uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So that mind, once you're in that ring and things become uncomfortable, here we are. This is what we've got to do. This is what I need.
Mate.
Do you know what I mean?
So I've been letting my sparring partners wear MMA gloves in sparring and stuff like that. I could just
Yes.
say wear gloves, we'll spar, and I'll leave with a false sense of
Yeah.
you've got to put yourself in that
You
furnace.
have to.
You've got to go for
You've
it.
it's
You've got
finding
to.
that balance in it because
100%.
you also don't want to be getting concussed in sparring. You
No.
don't want to be like explaining to your kid like in 15 years why
You're
daddy's a
punching
mess
on
because
CTE and you can't-
no.
Why you're shaking?
Yeah, no.
Why you've got
No.
a tremor? And
It's not
such
worth
a-
it. So it's like I say, it's fine margins getting it right, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
also you don't want to go in there tippy tappy and then it becomes a
No.
shock when you're in the
Yeah,
The thing, there's a fine line, so
Yeah.
it's really
50-50.
hard to find
Yeah.
that fine
taper it
line.
down, get the speed up 60-40.
Yeah, because how do you develop mental fortitude? Like the old saying, nothing ventured, nothing gained. If you're not at least throwing them into the fire once or
Exactly.
twice, it's just about limiting those
Yes,
those
because
moments. Yeah,
obviously the body that takes a toll. That's why it's great to just have them a couple of times. Do you know what I mean? Then you know you're in that mindset, and like I said, once you're in that fight and it becomes uncomfortable, the body just automatically reacts and like we've got to do this when we're in this type of mindset and we're getting this put on us.
Yeah,
because if you're just breeding comfortableness and contempt and sparring,
yeah.
you're gonna get
A
you're
shock
gonna get
to the
shocked
system.
to the system,
Big time, Lee. Big
Massively,
time. Big
massively.
time. Bit of a shock like Malta was to my system, mate.
What actually happened with that, brother?
Yeah,
Because
we'll go-
you haven't touched down on that.
Yeah, I'll go into that now. Yeah, we'll go into that now. So, Malta. I was offered a fight by a gentleman, I'll say that term loosely, called Tommy Murray.
Okay.
So Tommy Murray offered me a fight in Malta. The fight was supposed to be either semi-pro or pro. To my understanding, I was having a medical and whatnot and everything else. So I'm thinking there's nothing here untoward.
Yeah.
I think it was a week or two away from the actual bout. He messages me. The promoters contacted me. You put it on Facebook that you're 77, 70 kilos. Yeah, what's the problem? This guy's 82. He's 84. First red flag. So I'm like, all right. So put a bit of weight on. I said, I'm not putting weight on. I'll feel sluggish.
Yeah.
So anyway, I said, right, I'll get to 79. I'll stick around there, mate. So there's only like 5 kilos difference. It's not ideal, but I'll roll with it.
Yeah.
So that was the first lie anyway. So after that, he says, right, I'll send you boarding passes. You'll be flying out a couple of days before, and then you'll get to acclimatise, whatnot, get settled, and then you'll fight on the Saturday. Sent me the boarding passes out. I think it was on the Thursday. So I was flying out on the Friday, which was the day before. We weren't flying out till Friday evening.
Yeah.
The hotel was a shambles. It was a 1-star hotel. Since there was actually cockroaches out around the wheelie bins, a big wall in front of my window, so you couldn't even see out the window. There was no view. It was in Marsaskala. It was terrible, mate. So I've messaged him and said, mate, this is a joke, this. Lucky Jack was over there with another friend of ours, Scott Simpson. Shout out to Scott Simpson. And we went and stayed at his digs. We had to walk a mile and a half in 30-degree heat to get to the digs. It wasn't ideal, mate. So anyway, I woke up the next morning. I said, is this in a venue or what? There'll be air conditioning. It'll be in a venue. I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
And we got there. It was outside in 40-degree heat. I was left on a settee out on these steps that were just near the ring, just sat there with my missus. We had no water.
Good 6 or 7 hours on that settee.
6 or 7 hours. I didn't get in the ring till after midnight.
Stuck to it was.
No one rapped. I'm just telling the truth here as well. I'm just telling the God's honest truth.
No one even checked your hand wraps or anything.
Nothing. I'm telling the truth. So no one wrapped my hands. There was no water. There was nothing there for us. There was no changing rooms. I got told an hour before that I'd have to wear the gloves from the fighter before, so I had to put wet through gloves on, mate. The DJ didn't play my song. It only turns out this guy's 88.7 kilograms, so he's about 10, 11 kilos heavier than me. So obviously we're then trying to get hold of Tommy and say, listen, mate, this is not right. I had another fella out with us called Remy. Shout out to Remy Jones, a top lad. I said, mate, something's not right here. This is not right. So my head was already going. So it's dark. It's after midnight. They say to come out. The tune doesn't start playing. So I've gone over to the DJ and said, play my song, please. Play it. I'll give it you. He said, no, England.
I knew what he were up to.
So we knew the crack. Jack said, listen, just walk. They're doing this on purpose. Your tune is not coming on. Get out there.
Get out.
So I've gone out there. My head's already gone. I won't lie, mate. My head's already gone.
Yeah.
Got into the ring. He come in. He had gyno tip, mate. This guy was, to me, I'm speculating because I don't know for sure, but if I had to put good money, this guy was on juice. So anyway, he's got in the ring. He's looking massive, and I just went and I thought, as soon as he lands a clean shot, I'm throwing myself on the floor. And that's what I did. There was no way I was losing my health, putting my health at risk. No travel insurance. The legality of that show hung on a thread.
Wow.
The Malta Boxing Association, I didn't have a good experience with them. I don't know what anyone else's experience is with them, but I did not have a good one. And the promoter was a lady, I'm not mentioning names, was a lady who was the promoter. The legality of that show hung on a thread, that's all I'll say, mate. Wow. People were wrapping their own hands, no one was signing off the hand wraps.
Wow.
It was awful, mate. So when he come out for a shot, I just threw myself in corner. I thought, I'm not doing this. I've done all that on the British boxing scene, mate. Took my beating, so I thought, I don't have to show you what sort of man I am.
Damn right.
I'm just going to throw myself in corner. Did that, got up to go and get me money. She disappeared. The promoter's gone. Nowhere to be seen. The lad who's with me, I said, mate, this ain't right. He said, she'll appear. I said, mate, there's no way you can go.
Yeah.
It's an outdoor venue. You can see as far as the eye can see. Yeah. I can't see her. That's enough for me. Something's not right. So at the end of this 10-round war, it was a mint final fight. It was for an international title. It was absolutely mint, mate. These two guys put it on the line. For a second, I almost forgot about my money. What was going on. It was that good. And then that fight's finished, and she resurfaces. But she resurfaces with Maltese police and security guards. So I'm like, something's not right here.
The security, mate, they were goading us.
They wanted
to
twist us up. 100%. They wanted to twist us up. And they've all appeared, and I said to that, so I tapped Remy and said, I'll go and approach these. I knew something made me instinct, like, don't even approach them. And I've walked over and I've said, excuse me, can I have I won't mention him, can I have my purse, please? My patient. A little grunt. So I said, what's that mean? Excuse me, can I have my money, please? Him, she says. So I said, him, has he got my money? She points to this Maltese boxing official. Old chap, don't know his name, don't care to know it. Walked towards him, tapped him. He turns round, he has this is when I knew I was in trouble, mate. He had an A4 piece of paper. He had an envelope with an A4 piece of paper in. Now, I made a little joke, and I said to him, I went, that looks a bit thin. You know, did the same man, isn't it? Everyone just grunted and looked at me. And I knew I was in trouble then. I thought, something's not right. He went, Seamus? I said, yeah, Seamus. He went, pulled out this document. Apparently, this guy has sent over, the promoter who's put it all together, has sent over forged documents, forged medical notes, forged documents, which is obviously illegal, so they're going to arrest us. they're not paying us and they're going to arrest us. So we're stood there, mate. The coach is coming to take us from the venue back to Marsaskell, which is a few miles. And we're like, I'm not leaving until we got paid. You know what I mean? They didn't pay us. So we had to leave with our tail in between our legs.
It will leave or we'd get battered or nicked. Battered or nicked.
So we've left trying to get hold of Tommy. So like, listen, this is what's happened. Couldn't get hold of him. And in his defence, he did try to like amend it and sort it out. He tried to sort everything out. And in the end, we did eventually get paid some, but not all of the money. So yeah, it was an absolute nightmare, mate.
Do you know what I mean?
So anyone travelling abroad, and I'll just say this now, just be careful who your management is, be careful who the matchmaker is, and do some homework on the promotion, do some research before you go fighting abroad, because I would hate anyone to encounter what we encountered over there.
This is the thing, like, do not, some little advice here for boxers, do not go with your yes men. Get the yes men out of your camp immediately. Go with your true friends who's going to tell you the truth. Same with your management. Keep it secure and close. As tight as closest people to your team.
100%.
Because there's nothing going to filter out. They've got your best intentions at heart. They will sort it out whilst you can fight. Train, fight. Yeah. Train, fight. Look at Johnny Fisher. Look at Daniel Dubois. All close, tight-knit. And look at that success.
Yeah, and Kieran Farrell as well. Kieran and they've been buzzing. They were shouting. Nate Farrell was shouting for weeks before that fight that he was going to knock Anthony Joshua out. He was shouting for weeks, and Kieran Farrell was in his camp from the start. Weren't he? Shout out to the Farrell boys. Nate actually came to see me not so long ago when we had the gym at the old bank building.
Hell of a guy. That man
very
has
talented
been
boxer
through.
too.
Yeah, man.
If it weren't for injuries, he would have gone on to win titles. In my opinion, he was a shit amateur as well.
100%. I remember watching him on the small hole shows and. What was he? Something like 12, 13 and 0 at one point or something daft like that?
I thought, personally, from what I've seen of the fight, I don't know if you can see the full fight, I thought he did enough to beat Crawler. That was the night that it all went wrong. And
for the brain tumor.
I watched the documentary and I nearly cried, mate, when I watched that documentary. It really is. There's that bit where Nate Farrell's discussing it and he gets choked up and that got me. And there's the bit at the end where Kieran's going through him coming out. I'm getting goosebumps now, mate. He's going about coming through the curtain. He was bouncing and he's tapping everyone's hands and then he goes and fucking hell, mate. It got
Nick Blackwell.
It was like fucking scary, mate. It was
Nick Blackwell. Look at Nick Blackwell. Do you know what I mean?
Mate.
His story.
Unbelievable. And
too similar.
Did you see that when he did that interview and he realised that I think it was who was it that was there? What was he called? How can I forget his name? Legend Chris Eubank hit him with that uppercut.
Oh, Michael Watson.
And Watson was in the building, and when he finds out that Michael Watson's there, his face, like a child, mate, like all his Christmases had come at once, and mate, it was just powerful. It was really, really powerful, mate. And this is the downside to boxing, isn't it, mate? And I think it brings us back to what you're on about with Aki Kareem.
100%.
There needs to be something in place for these 100%. Fighters when they've finished.
Big shout out to Aki and the team.
Massive shout out to Aki Kareem.
Boxers in need. If anybody's watching this and anybody, just go over, type in Boxers in Need, go to Aki Kareem's Boxing Now channel, him and Peter Fury. They've got the links in the description box. £12 a year. It's £1 a month. Go and subscribe. Go and help these boxers on a lower level. Help them have some type of survival, some type of life. Do you know what I mean? Where they're not struggling, because the struggles in camp and through boxing, they've give you some of their life. They've give you a
they've
chunk
left a part of them in that game.
In that game.
100%.
My brother.
But listen, you leave a part of yourself in that game,
you do.
mate. I think
honestly
shaved
yourself.
years off my life, mate, doing
do you know what I
mean?
did. And this takes me back to why I always have people from a lower type, in the high type, and middle type. I don't say it as top, middle and bottom. I see it as a boxer.
All the one layer.
You're a boxer.
So you're not looking at it as layers of the layer cake. It's all
I've
in
never
one.
looked at it like that. Never looked at it like that. I'll never look at it like that, because it's boxing. You're all boxers. You all do the same job.
100%.
Simple as that. You all put on a pair of gloves. You all go in the ring.
Or no gloves in some cases.
In your two cases, it's
gloves.
different. But like I say, they're putting their life on the line. Just respect them at every level.
100%.
That boxers.
Just to like brighten up the subject, why before we go off Malta, do we tell the?
Do you know what? I was just thinking that. We'll get back on track.
Shall I start it off?
Fire away.
No, just a crazy experience.
This is a really funny story. This is a true story that occurred in Malta.
Yeah, feel free to jump in if I'm not calling it right.
No, it's spot on. Go on, my brother. Fire away.
This crazy guy. So bear in mind, there's me, Seamus, Remy Jones, professional boxer, Scott Simpson, who's just an odd lad. So there's us four. And and Danielle
And my
Seamus' missus. And we're at this like sort of bar. This is on a Sunday after the fight. And we were like, wanted to go to this restaurant. So we're like, we're looking. We're like, do we walk it? It's not that far at all. But Danielle's like, my feet are killing me. My back were killing me, as it always is. Everyone were like, oh, we'll just get a taxi, like. So we booked it on this app. It was like a minibus, weren't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, this guy turns up. And where we were, right, we're on like the beachfront, like there's the seafront, and this was just the other side of like the harbour.
Yeah, that's right.
You didn't have to take any turns, you just straight along. Like from going from one end of Blackpool Beach to the other, you know what I'm saying? Like
That's
simple, yeah. Anyway, this guy just starts, and it's one of them taxis where it's like, we can't see, you know what I mean? We can't get to the driver.
Yeah.
We're in like the back bit like that. And he's just gone bang, like left off this like mad, and then he starts going up all these mental like dirt tracks.
Maltese cliffs.
It was pitch black as well. It was pitch black, right? And we're like, where are you going? Where are you going? And he's just completely ignoring us, speeding up and that, going up all these dirt tracks. Like, everyone were like panicking.
Nightmare.
Everyone had the turn to say it. So like when we realised it's going the wrong way, everyone's kind of then gone like, we all took it in turns. Like, so where are we going, mate? And then Danielle, where are we going? This and then he's like, mate, you've took us off track. You're going the scenic route. And everyone's had a say. Everyone's like, mate, he didn't even acknowledge any of us.
Just like that,
so he just carried on. Yeah. But then when the last person, which was Remy, said, mate, where are you going? He just hit the accelerator.
Yeah.
So we're like, he's taking us to Maltese mountains. We're not coming
We
back
thought
here.
there was someone waiting for us to mug us or worse.
He wasn't saying nothing. He was speeding up, and he's going on these little tight roads, these back roads, and we're thinking, mate, this is going wrong. So we're like, Remy, the lad that's with us, has started.
Remy, we've got to tell us.
We've got to tell you, he's going, stop now. And the guy eventually just boom, hit the brake, stopped, and then went, oh mate,
It's
the best
the
one-liner ever.
Go on.
The best one-liner ever. He stopped, and we went, mate, where are you taking us? And he just went, so you want to go where you want to go? That's the idea we've got in the taxi, to go where we want to go, mate. But we're like, we figured out in the end we weren't going to get murdered in the Maltese mountains. What he's done is, it was a different colour car to the one they said they were dispatching. So I think this guy's a rogue taxi driver, hangs around looking for tourists, gets them in, takes them the long way around, runs the meter up, and then said, because when we've got out where we were supposed to go, he's gone £4 or £5 more than what we were supposed to pay. So Jack's clicked him, you've just done this on purpose, we're only paying you so much. And he went, well, I give you a tour of Malta. So like, what a guy, but it was just a funny story, mate.
You had to be there, mate, to be fair.
Remy, the lad, he was like, stop now. He was in panic mode, you could just tell that
he may as well have gone, help!
Yeah, his laugh had flashed before him. Honestly, it was like, oh, it was class. But what a strange place.
Yeah,
I would have lost it on that mountain. Like,
mate,
I don't do mountains well.
What I said as well, if you remember, there was two girls stood outside that waiting for a taxi as well, and we happened to get in this one. And bear in mind, there's 4 lads who can fight. If them 2 girls had gone on it, they might have been like,
you know what I mean?
Right,
They creeped out, because he was being very odd. He
I'm
wasn't
with you.
replying to anything we were saying. It was bizarre.
like I said earlier off camera, like Malta, I'm fairly well travelled. Never been anywhere like that. Weird
Strange
people.
bombs going off in the middle of the day, in the early afternoon, and then no one bats an eyelid. So they must be used to that. I think it's like I say, there's a testing ground near there.
No one had manners. No one had etiquette. Everybody was like.
It seemed like island mentality. You're not from here. I mean, like I said, we walked into a place and people were just laughing at us.
That's crazy. That is fucking
really,
crazy.
Really, but I looked around and I kind of clicked on. I was by the bar and I thought, do you know what it is? I'm pale as they come, mate. Like a 90s movie, like Powder. Have you seen Powder? Where he's like Jeff Goldblum and he's when the lightning strikes him. I must look like that to them because everyone there was tanned and I just come in like Powder. Do you know? And I think that's what, because otherwise I don't know what else they were laughing at, mate. It was really strange.
Non-islanders, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it
just must be so used to their locals.
Yeah, it was odd.
It's weird.
I wouldn't say never go out there, but if you were going out there, be selective in where you go.
We were not in a touristy place at all.
No, we're not, mate.
On
It
the
was very
outskirts.
strange. So yeah, anyway, we'll proceed. So, what's your plans in the future, mate? In the boxing, the bare knuckle game, the media side of things. Have you got any future ventures planned? Have you got any specific direction that you're looking to go?
Do you know what, Seamus? I've been offered a slot every week on a radio for having my boxing show. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Called Nova Radio. I'm finally deciding what I'm going to do with that. But in the future, I just want to. I think I'm going to kick on the podcast again, but it's not going to be as regular as the last ones. You're going to have a week or two because I've come into a bit of money, so I've rebuilt all the equipment that. When I split up with my ex, like, everything just fell apart. I had to get flat. It was all, I had to sell this, I had to sell that. and just to survive. Do
I've
you know
been
what I
there,
mean?
mate, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And now that I've come
Hard
into a bit of
times,
money, big hard times, but this is why you're seeing the big gap of no podcast, because it was rough, man. Do you know what I mean?
We never asked. I think I suspected you were going through a few
bad
things in that.
time,
way.
man.
Wasn't something, I don't know if you don't want to go into it far, but was there some issues on YouTube? Were you getting shadow banned or something?
I was, because of the Decker stuff.
Right, yeah.
So
It was all.
I remember doing an interview with you, and
Make
you
sure
couldn't
to call
find
him-
it.
make sure to call him-
It was
call him
not.
DH,
You usually get a
just
few
in case.
thousand
Yeah,
views.
DH.
This one was not.
See, that's the freedom you've got now. You can actually say the first, but not the second. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, you can get you.
call him Big Roxy.
Yeah, you've got to
No,
be careful not to elaborate, haven't you? And like I say, he's,
like I say, because I was going after him, he sent me some derogatory pictures about me son. Do you know what I mean?
I remember.
And that's why I was like, yo. And
That's what set you off on your.
And then it was a spiral of decline, because I was thinking, what the. And then I was like, yeah, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of it. I'm going to stick to the boxing. But then it just got worse. And obviously, I wasn't saying my son at the time, so I was having to explain to his mum, look, and it was just going wrong. And that's why I had that big long period. Like I said, split up with the ex, and then just had to survive by selling things. But the plan is to do it on a weekly basis now, a weekly, 2 weekly basis.
So you can juggle all the other things outside of that.
Look, I'm on the PR lists for all of them. Do you know what I mean? I've got my press credentials. I can go to the matchroom shows. I always get the media alerts.
That's mint,
I'm pretty
that,
privileged.
Man.
Pretty
That's
privileged.
mint,
Do you know
that,
what I mean?
brother.
And that's all that I want. I just want a small hole.
Yeah.
That's where me.
You've got your avenue now, haven't you, mate?
Both
That's
of you
all.
two, I could see commentating in your future. I mean, Shay's going to commentate. We're actually the card that I'm not fighting anymore due to injury, but you got. I think you got a commentary gig coming up. haven't you?
I've had a couple of offers.
There's a lot of these independent pay-per-view companies now on that are looking for commentary.
Yeah, 'cause
Me
I put
and
it
Paul
out there.
Venice.
I was listening to. I've listened to a few. I'm not mentioning names. It's disrespectful. I was listening to a few shows that had commentary on, and
Not
they
great.
were dead. The commentary were dead, and I mean, like, they didn't even know the name. I'm not mentioning names. The good geezers, I actually like them, but they didn't even know the names of the fighters and where they were from. They got that wrong. You know, little things like that. I thought
You need to do
wanna
your
your
statistics.
Do your
homework,
research and have a
100%.
decent vocabulary.
You've got to have a
and
good
bit of-
analytic
You want
eye.
your,
You've got
you
to
want
be a
your
good analyst.
spreadsheet there, and you want
just
what
have-
the patterns.
just bring,
That's fine.
honestly, the small horses can understand why they're just like, well, there's a voice there,
Yeah.
but you've got to have a little bit of something. You're bringing something to the table to get people going. Do you know what? I'll listen to it again. I'll watch that again. That was really
but
interesting. I
if you
learned
don't,
something from that
if
guy.
you don't put the effort in on the small show like that, who's ever going to book you for a big one?
Yeah,
you've got to fake it till you make it, as they say.
That's a good
100%,
point.
100%.
Me and Paul Venice got asked to do the commentary for 3D Fight Club, the very first one. But things just didn't transpire to go down there. I was going to go with Paul, but Paul couldn't go down there for a couple of reasons, which I'm not going to go into. But that's why I never ended up following through with it. But commentary is a route that I will probably take. 'Cause I love the sport. You know what I mean?
I'm saying, mate,
MCing, I
I
really enjoyed that. We did our own show. I loved it, mate. What a buzz that was like.
Aki is a great MC as well. Do you know what I mean? So that's mad. It's
it's definitely something to look at in the future. It's definitely. So I put myself out there for it because I watched a few shows just by chance. I didn't actually make a conscious effort. They popped up. I can't remember if it was on Facebook or clips where you see clips and show, and I was listening to it, and I'm like, yeah, I could do better than that. No disrespect to me, but I'm looking and thinking, I can bring something to the table.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm quite eloquently spoken. I've got a decent vocabulary, and I'm a good analyst. I know what I'm looking at.
100%.
So, and I'll put effort in. I'll give it 110.
You've got to.
We'll see where it goes, mate.
I was going to say my sponsor and also our business partner with the gym, Lee Windle. We're going to start putting on our own shows, our own events, probably starting next year, realistically now, if not the back end of this year. But we'd love to bring him on board. We could have you commentating on that.
That'd be excellent, mate. You'd be the only person I would want to do that, mate.
I would
That'd be
love to do
absolutely
something
brilliant,
like that.
mate. That would mean a lot to us if you would do that as well.
I would be down
mate.
in a heartbeat to do something like that.
Good man, good.
But I would love to do something like the commentating and stuff like that.
Yeah, mate, we'd love you on that.
Really good
we'd
stuff,
love you on that. Hello, pal. We've got a little guest here after this. How are you doing, mate? You all right, pal? You've got something to say, haven't you? Oh, you're beautiful.
You've got a couple of Frenchies as well, haven't you?
I have, mate. Yeah, 2 Frenchies, Rolo and Arlo, mate. Love them to bits.
Absolutely,
love them to bits, mate. Yeah, but they can be stressful. But yeah, so I'm gonna mention my fight as well. To my fight, so to promote that for a bit. So it's less than 2 weeks away now. BYB, BKB.
How's training going?
Really good.
Really good.
Thanks for asking, mate. Really good. I had to take a few days out mid-camp because I'd overtrained a little bit, but I come back and I was firing all cylinders again. And my sparring's been going good.
Yes,
I've got good sparring partners. My fitness is good. My times are good on the track. I've not been something I've done in this camp, which I've not done even as a pro, is proper strength and conditioning program, and actually lifting weights and keeping my strength up. Because when you're doing a lot of anaerobic, you get fit, you're cardiovascular, but you get a bit weak and come a bit weak. So
100%.
I've been finding that fine balance of keeping myself strong, mate. My diet's on point. I've got my meal preps every week. My sponsors, Chiefs Health UK in Nelson. Chiefs are absolutely amazing. My meal preps are restaurant quality. Massive shout out to them. So yeah, I've got everything. I've got a masseuse now who she sponsors me as well. Massive shout out to Anya, Anya Gillett. She actually doesn't have a business logo at the minute. She actually conducts her business from the Barbell School in Burnley. Shout out to the Barbell School. I'll give them a quick plug as well.
Damn.
So yeah, it's going good, mate. I'm going to smoke his Persian boots for him. So
Yes,
he's going to get put to sleep, mate. I'm going in there. He's when I get in that ring, mate, he's my dad's cancer and everything I ate, and I'm going to fucking hurt him, bro. I'm going to put him to sleep. When I get in that ring, I have a different mindset, mate. So he's going to have to kill me, mate, to stop me. That I will promise. I won't promise victory. I'll promise it's going to be entertaining. It's
You
going
can
to be
tell in your
drawn,
eyes.
mate. Yeah, 100%.
You can tell in your eyes, brother.
100%, mate. I'm going to hurt him. I was actually a bit worried he's going to pull out because he's been a little bit quiet on social media.
Just don't put too much on, brother.
I won't. That's it. I'm in my mind. He's behind the scenes now, training like an absolute Spartan.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yes.
But if he's doing anything less than that, then he's in trouble. He's in trouble.
You've got to believe. You've got to go into your training believing that guy is absolutely doing savagely well.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because then you can put yourself on that mode where you're like, I'm not getting out.
I'm not getting exactly,
Boom,
mate.
and then
Exactly.
That's where the
And
bit between the
hopefully
teeth.
he is training because, like I say, he seems like a social media guy to me. He was on Channel 4 dating celebs. He was on that.
Mate, if that's the case, my brother.
And then I've been seeing that, and then he's completely gone quiet for the last 4 weeks, and I'm thinking it's either one or two things. He's in this behind the scenes in the shadows, or his arse just fell out. I hope it's the first one because I've sold 50 tickets, mate. I've actually sold 56 tickets. So
you've done well on this one.
I've done really well, mate. I think if you sell 50 or more, you're considered a
You should
a
be
ticket
overwhelmed
seller.
by
So
that, James, because
I am,
that
mate.
is a good little tick in the amount, that, mate,
It
brother.
is, mate, especially for a journeyman who couldn't sell a ticket to save his life. I think that's what it's done. I've built quite a good following through what I've done, just being genuine and organic, and now I've got a
100%.
few eyes on me. I can sell a few tickets, but
That's what you need, though,
I'm
James.
looking forward to it, mate.
Do you know what I
And
mean?
massive shout out to Jim Freeman Duff for giving me the opportunity. It means a lot, mate. I've signed a free fight contract.
So, is there a path? Is there a route where because we know you don't overlook your opponent, but you've got to have that
vision,
goal and
what's next?
Yeah, what's next?
America is where it's at for me.
America.
Seeing what James Kennelly has done, and some of the fighters from what they've done, and they're over there now, and they've opened the door for fighters like myself and other fighters. BYB, the Americans buying it out, I think was probably the best thing to ever happen. Some might disagree with that, but
Mike
I think there's few
Vasquez
people
was
upset.
going to buy into. I'm not going to say the company, but he was going to buy into a company a couple of years ago, and it just didn't transpire.
Right.
And now I know the bloke. I'm very close with the bloke who it was going to happen with, and obviously, it just didn't transpire.
Didn't happen.
Because it
No.
was just after the COVID. Do you know what I mean? And
it
like
was
we
harder
said,
to put things in place then, wasn't it? As well, to get things to come to fruition was a lot harder.
because you had the social
Obstacles,
distancing,
yeah,
you had the
yeah.
flights, you had the what did you have to do? What's that? How are you?
Quarantining.
That's the one. You had the quarantine and it was
and
gone.
stuff. I
You had
was
the
boxing
quarantine.
during COVID. It was
I
crazy
know
because
you were.
COVID never really. So it hit me, but then I kind of went, I thrive in those them isolation moments. So I kind of went, well, I've got nothing to lose here. I'm
Yeah.
locked in my gaff. Sweet, I'll just train like a Spartan.
Uh-huh.
I've got nothing else to do. And then I
100%.
think Curtis Gagano, his dad was a legend. Des Gagano fought Nazim Ahmed. He's seen me on a video and like, who's this kid? Who is this guy? Do you know what I mean? He said, every time I see me shadowboxing, he's from he said, I want this guy to come on. And the rest was history, mate. And I ended up. Yeah.
It's mad how things happen through boxing, isn't it?
It is.
It is because
I don't regret a single thing, mate.
you
Not a
shouldn't,
single thing, mate.
because
I was blessed.
you were fighting top amateur fighters just turning over.
Junior Olympic gold
I
medalists.
know.
Look at where some of them are at now as well.
I know.
It's great.
Yeah, I was
know.
fighting some of the best, mate. I mean, I boxed a few lads that are walking around now with Celtic, Irish titles, RBO international titles
Bloody hell.
that I know and they know that I beat them. And they know it, mate. They know it as well. It is what it is, though, mate. It is what it is. I was on the business side of it, and I knew
Yeah.
that. So there's no point in crying
The
about it
ticket
afterwards.
sellers,
Yeah,
we know the
that's
route.
it, mate. And do you know what, mate? I'll say as well, the other half of them were just too good. So the other half of them, it is what it is. You play the game, and the other half were just too fucking good. I did box a lot of lads that were just shit up, mate, and I wouldn't have beat them no matter what I'd have turned up like. So
that's why I've always, when we were doing the interviews and that, it was like, you seen some of these people who you're fighting, and it wasn't just that. You had like 3-4 fights scheduled, and you would see it on BoxRec, and you'd be like,
and the thing was too,
look at him.
I was boxing them. They had me in mind for 6, 7, 8 weeks. So they had a camp focus on me, whereas I had
a week between
him, and then I had to think about getting through to that $2,000. And I mean, like John Harding Jr., I think I fought him off the back of, I think it was 17, 18, 19 fights, something like that. And that was a close fight. It wasn't 40-36. I can't remember who ref that, but 40-36 was atrocious. A lot of people coming up to me after saying, mate, we thought that was at least a draw, but I watched it back and he did enough to win. I'll be honest, I didn't. I was in journeyman mode, but it wasn't 40-36, and he actually fought Linus Udofia for the English title.
Yes,
and Linus now has the English title as we speak. He's the current English champion, so it shows you the level I was mixing at, mate. And
mate,
I truly believe that if I'd have had the backing and got into boxing early, I could have done something.
This is
and
the
won a title.
thing. This is what people fail to forget about yourself. And you, Jack, you're a late starter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's mad what mentions he was like, I've always said to Jack as well, like, you know, he's coming to the game late in his 30s. I come in my late 20s, he's in his 30s, and I've always said to him, you're doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing in your first year, and you're performing well in the gym. And I was telling him all the time, saying, I think, you could box.
Yeah.
Well, never mind the bare knuckle, you could probably box.
150%.
An old school guy, we're at his gym the day, Kev Dand, 5 Ways Boxing.
Shout out Kev, man.
Massive shout out to Kev Dand. They're almost forgotten. They're the pillars of the community, mate. But as the landscape's changed, they're almost forgotten. But he said to Jack, like I've been telling him for last year to 16 months, are you sure you're in the right game? Because you can box a bit, do you know what I mean? If you just focused on that side of things, but he's not bad at all.
To touch on my career and what's next for me before we wrap up, like, look, I just want to say, like, my last camp, we've talked about off camera, I don't want to go into it on camera, but the whole camp, the whole training it was a joke, mate. It was a joke. And I want to apologise to Gilly and Kev and to WBKB because it was a European title fight and I didn't put the effort in. It was more down to my own mental health than it was anything else. But Seamus will tell you I'm back now. And obviously, yes, I'm injured at the minute. But my mindset now, I'm back. My first 3 fights that were like dominant wins,
100%.
They were there. They were there because of the effort that I put in the gym.
Against some decent opposition too.
I know. This is what I'm saying. This is why I give you respect.
I'm back now. And honestly, as soon as I get this back injury rehabbed, I've got another British title fight lined up, which is the one that's being delayed.
Yeah.
I'm. If I lose again, it's because I got beat off the better man rather than because I beat myself. I beat myself.
We both blamed. I blamed myself. He blamed himself. No one was trying to pass the buck.
Yeah.
So I think it was 3-4 days leading up to the fight. My head was battering me because I knew. You know, when your subconscious is telling you something not right here, but you can't. You can't pull him at this point, and you're just going right. We're going to have to go for it. And then you kind of make logic of it, and you go, well, he can beat this guy. No, he can beat this guy.
Of course,
so
you look for a way.
Your brain, and you think, well, something's not right. Then after the fight, I was like, that weren't right. And then the next day, he literally rang me saying all the things I was thinking anyway. He was like, mate, this is what I need to. And he didn't pass the buck because we both had so much on, mate, juggling between our own lives and our own family and the gym and our own clients. And it was like, no disrespect at that time, I shouldn't have really been caring about the development of my clients. I should have just gone, right, listen, for 3-4 weeks now, you guys are on the back burner.
Yeah.
But then it's 3-4 weeks of losing money. It's like a rock and a hard spot.
Don't forget, my shoulder injury, my shoulder came out within 20 odd seconds. But I've not turned around and I'm not blaming that. That was a factor, but it wasn't. It was everything I did in the lead up or didn't do in the lead up.
Correct. And I respect the fact that you identified it, analyse, interpret, and then put it right, rectify it. That's all you can do. That's all you can do.
If you can reckon, this is why going back to your team. You need a good team because when you've got your yes men, everything's all right. You're all right. Everybody's scared to lose a bit of money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But your family, they're not asked about money. They're asked about you, and you have your interests at heart.
100%. What our missus said to me in Malta, she come over to me and she went, and bear in mind, I've had 55 pro fights. I've been in with Killer. She looked at me, she went, please don't get it ring with him, babe. Straight away in Malta, she knew, she went, please don't get it ring with him. He's the size of Corey. Corey Harrison, I was like, looking at her, I'm trying to talk her out of it and going, but I should have known, she's the only one there from these that actually gives a shit about you coming out
100%.
okay.
Yeah.
So I should have just gone, do you know what, I'm not even getting in the ring, but me being stupid and proud, and you try and talk yourself round, and I might find my feet and start establishing my jab.
The air time.
Yeah.
Look, I'm pleased you didn't go through with that. I'm pleased you did what you did because looking at it from out respect.
They didn't deserve.
Marta,
didn't?
Yeah,
No, they didn't.
Yeah, true that.
Didn't deserve it. And do you know what? It's fucking shame on those management who did that, because it's stuff like that shit sticks. Do you know what I mean?
It does.
Shit
I said that
sticks.
the other day. That's in shit sticks. It does. It's
100%.
hard to fucking shake it. Most people never do, mate.
100%.
They never do.
And
Yeah.
that's why it gives boxing a little bit of a dark and
stigma.
tarnish.
It'll always be attached.
100%. And you
mate.
want to float
And I always
people
say
like
to
that
Jack,
out.
it's got a gravitational pull for lost souls. Hasn't
Yes,
it? But,
it
it
has.
saves a lot of us lost souls, doesn't it? It really
100.
does.
Yeah, it does.
It really does.
It's just a combat sport. You'll not find another sport where brotherhood is so
Camaraderie
close.
and
The camaraderie, the love, the respect,
Amen
the
to that.
bond. Do you know what I mean?
Amen
You
to
know,
that, brother.
we talked about this, and funnily enough, I was talking to Brendan about it the other night as well. Brendan Collins, like we obviously, but all my mates who I've had over the years have been mates for like 10, 15 years,
Yeah.
lads, holidays, but these are relationships that were based on
Chemical
alcohol, chemicals,
foundations.
Right.
rather than. And it's like Brendan was saying, and it's true. When you're sparring with each other in the gym, you punch the fuck out of each other. It's a different level of respect.
You're
it's a
1,000,000%.
different level of respect.
It
Like,
is.
like the
It
respect
is.
I have for him and Corey and the others and that. Like it's different.
Completely.
Just completely different.
Breeds. How can I say this? You know where you are. Puts you in your place.
Yeah.
You know your
Where
level.
you're at and your
Yeah.
level 100%,
And
mate.
you should just try and strive to be better.
Yeah.
That's it. And it brings a form. It's a bit like the streets. How you got the old guard.
And the old god and the new god,
Yeah.
and the passing of the torch.
The
and,
passing
yeah,
of the torch.
Yeah.
You've just got to roll with it.
Also want to give a massive shout out to Joe Rainbird, Birdland Studios, for letting us conduct this podcast here again. What a guy. We took him away and he's given us his time on a Sunday to do this on short notice. So
Massive respect,
mate. Absolutely massive
my
respect.
man.
And also D&B Painting and Decorating for your painting and decorating needs. Dale Brown, massive shout out to you. Trevor Abraham, Brave Faces UK. Non-profit charity organisation, shout out to you. And Apex Solutions also, mate. David Duckworth, massive thank you. You guys couldn't do this without you. Sponsorship, absolutely top guys. And I think we're going to wrap it up there, Lee, my man.
No worries,
But I will
man.
say what an honour and an absolute privilege and a pleasure it's been, my friend, to have you down. And here's
honestly,
my hand and my heart,
I'm
my
not
friend.
simply you, my
Thank you so much. And thank
Appreciate
you,
that.
Jack, as well, for
Jack, you are
co-hosting
the
today. I've
man.
really enjoyed
Honestly,
this podcast, fellas.
It's been great. It's been absolutely class. Like I said, we should hook up again.
100%.
Oh,
I've got
100%, mate. 100%.
I've got a bare knuckle show that I'll be running probably in January or February. So if we can get in before that, that would be.
That'd be absolutely
Is that your show?
class.
Yeah, that's mine.
I know someone might be looking for a fight in January.
Yeah, you are,
Yeah,
son.
come up northeast.
Give it a shout.
Come up
Give it a
northeast.
shout, man.
Beautiful. So
Damn
that is
right.
Cobra Cast episode 3 wrapped up. Goodbye, people. God bless.
Very much, yes, man. Good
Oh,
stuff,
sweet.
man.
I enjoyed that, man.
That was mint, that, brother. Thank you, man. Top man.